I pushed open the door to our kitchen and froze. My husband Robert and his daughter Vanessa were sitting at the table, waiting. There was a stack of papers between them, and Vanessa had her laptop open with what looked like spreadsheets on the screen. "Margaret, sit down," Robert said. His voice had that edge to it. "We need to talk about your spending." I set down my shopping bag slowly. Inside was a Burberry scarf I'd bought that afternoon, $1,200. It was the first luxury item I'd purchased for myself in 30 years. My spending? I kept my voice level. Vanessa leaned forward, her expression all concerned sympathy. "Margaret, we've been looking at your account activity. In the past month alone, you've spent nearly $4,000 on non-essentials. That scarf you just bought? We got the alert." I felt my face flush. "You got the alert? How exactly are you tracking my purchases?" "I set it up for Dad," Vanessa said smoothly. "He asked me to help monitor things after you got your pension payout. We're worried about you, Margaret. $150,000 is a lot of money to manage, especially at your age." At my age. I was 62. Not senile. Robert reached across the table. "Honey, you've never handled large sums before. You worked as a teacher for 35 years. Vanessa has a finance background. She's just trying to help." "I have a certificate in financial planning," Vanessa corrected. "I've helped dozens of clients." I looked at the papers on the table. They were printouts of my bank statements. Every transaction highlighted in yellow. The scarf, the dinner I'd treated my sister to, the new coffee maker, the donation to the animal shelter. "This is my money," I said quietly. "I earned it. 35 years of lesson plans and parent-teacher conferences and summer schools. That pension payout is mine." "Of course it is," Robert said, using that soothing tone that made my teeth clench. "Nobody's saying it isn't. But Margaret, you're not thinking long-term. What happens when that money runs out? We need to be smart about this." "We?" I repeated. Vanessa slid a document across the table. "I've drawn up a plan. We'll move your pension into a joint account with Dad. I'll be listed as a financial advisor on the account, just to provide oversight. Nothing major can be withdrawn without 2 signatures. It's for your protection." I stared at the paper, at the line where I was supposed to sign. "And if I don't agree to this?" Vanessa and Robert exchanged a look. "Then you're being irresponsible," Vanessa said, her voice hardening. "Do you know what financial abuse of the elderly looks like, Margaret? It starts with impulsive purchases. Designer scarves. Luxury items you don't need. Pretty soon you'll be vulnerable to scammers, to predatory salespeople. We're trying to prevent that." "I'm 62, not 85. And you've never managed money before," Robert said. "I've always handled our finances. You've never even balanced a checkbook on your own." That was true. We'd kept separate accounts throughout our marriage, his idea. But Robert had always paid the bills, made the investment decisions. I'd been content to let him handle it. I'd been busy raising his 2 kids from his first marriage while teaching full-time. "Think about it," Vanessa said, standing up. "But don't think too long. The longer that money sits in an individual account, the more vulnerable you are." She touched my shoulder as she passed. "We love you, Margaret. We're just looking out for you." After she left, Robert poured himself a bourbon. "She's right, you know," he said. "That scarf was excessive. It was my money." "Our money," he corrected. "We're married. What's yours is mine, remember? That's how marriage works." I went to bed that night with my stomach churning. I couldn't stop thinking about that document, about Vanessa's laptop tracking every purchase I made, about Robert's face when he'd said our money. The next morning, I made an appointment with a lawyer. I didn't tell Robert. I told him I was meeting my friend Susan for lunch. Instead, I sat in a small office across from a woman named Patricia Chen, who specialized in elder law and financial planning. "Let me understand this correctly," Patricia said after I'd explained everything. "Your husband wants you to sign over control of your pension to a joint account where his daughter, who has a certificate but not a license in financial planning, will have oversight? He says it's to protect me." "From what?" "From myself, apparently." Patricia was quiet for a moment. "Mrs. Reynolds, what I'm going to tell you might be difficult to hear. What your husband and his daughter are proposing is a form of financial abuse. They're using your age and your lack of experience managing large sums to manipulate you into giving up control of your own money." "He wouldn't," Wouldn't he? Patricia opened a folder. How many bank accounts do you have access to? Just my pension account. Robert has his own accounts. For the house, the bills, everything else. Do you know how much is in those accounts? I hesitated. No. Does he have access to your pension account? No. It's just mine. And now he wants to change that. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Patricia leaned forward. I've seen this before. A spouse or family member gains control of an elderly person's money under the guise of helping. Then the spending restrictions start. Then the money starts disappearing. Then the victim finds themselves with nothing. I'm not a victim. Not yet. But you will be if you sign that paper. I left her office 3 hours later with a plan. It would take time. It would take careful execution. But if Robert and Vanessa thought I was some helpless old woman who didn't understand money, they were about to learn otherwise. That evening, I told Robert I'd thought about it and agreed to the joint account. His face lit up. You'll sign the papers? I need a few days to get everything organized. Transfer the funds, set up the account properly. Vanessa can help me. He kissed my forehead. You're making the right choice, honey. You'll see. Over the next week, Vanessa came by 3 times to help me. We set up the joint account. We moved the money, all $150,000. What they didn't know was that I'd moved it twice. First to the joint account. Then, 3 hours later, I'd moved $120,000 to a different bank entirely, one where I'd opened an account in just my name. The account Vanessa had access to showed only $30,000. I'd also set up alerts on my phone. Every transaction, every login, every attempt to access the account, I'd know about it. It took 6 days before they made their move. I was at the grocery store when my phone buzzed. Transfer of $28,000 to account ending in 7,743. I didn't recognize that account number. My hands shook as I abandoned my cart and called the bank from my car. Yes, Mrs. Reynolds, we show a transfer of $28,000 at 2:47 p.m. today to an account registered to Vanessa Harper. Is this correct? No, I said. I did not authorize that transfer. I see here that Mrs. Harper is listed as a financial advisor on the account with authorization to. I'm revoking that authorization right now, and I want that transfer investigated for fraud. I hung up and called Patricia. They took it, I said. $28,000. Good, Patricia said. Now we have proof. When I got home, Robert was in his study. Vanessa's car was in the driveway. I walked in without knocking. They were both there, Vanessa's laptop open, looking at something on the screen. Margaret! Robert stood up. You're home early. Where's my money? Vanessa closed her laptop. Your money is being properly managed now. I've moved it into a high-yield investment account. You'll thank us in a few years when you stole $28,000 from my account. Stole? Robert's face reddened. Now, Margaret, that's a strong word. Vanessa is managing our finances. That's what we agreed to. I never agreed to you stealing my money. It's not stealing when it's family, Vanessa said. Her voice had lost all pretense of warmth. And frankly, Margaret, you should be grateful. Do you know what you would have done with that money? Wasted it on scarves and dinners and God knows what else. At least now it's working for you. Working for me in your personal account? It's an investment account, she snapped. I'm the manager. That's how these things work. Show me the paperwork then. The investment documents. The account information. Vanessa's jaw tightened. I don't have to show you anything. You signed the authorization. I signed authorization for you to provide financial advice, not to transfer my money to yourself. Robert moved between us. Margaret, you're being hysterical. Vanessa knows what she's doing. You need to trust us. Trust you? I felt something break open inside me. You've been planning this from the moment I got my pension, haven't you? That whole intervention was staged. The concern about my spending. All of it was just to get control of my money. Your money? Robert's voice went cold. You seem to forget that I supported you through your entire career. I paid the mortgage, the bills, everything while you played teacher. You owe me that pension. There it was. The truth under all the manipulation. I owe you nothing, I said quietly. I worked for 35 years. I raised your children. I ran this household. And now you think you're entitled to my retirement? I think, Vanessa said, standing up, that you're an ungrateful woman who doesn't understand how lucky she is to have people who care about her financial well-being. Get out of my house. Your house? Robert laughed. Margaret, this house is in my name, has been since before we got married. You want to play hardball about money? Fine. But remember who actually owns what here. I looked at him. At this man I'd been married to for 23 years, and I realized I'd never really known him at all. I've already reported the transfer to the bank, I said. They're investigating it as fraud. Vanessa's face went white. You what? I also spoke to a lawyer. Turns out, what you're doing has a name. It's called financial exploitation of the elderly. It's a crime. I'm providing financial services. Without a license. Patricia looked you up. That certificate you have? It's from a weekend seminar. You're not a licensed financial advisor, which means every action you've taken on my account is unauthorized. Robert grabbed my arm. You're making a mistake. I pulled away. No. The mistake was trusting you. The next week was a blur. The bank froze the joint account and launched an investigation. Vanessa tried to return the $28,000, but it was too late. The fraud report was already filed. Patricia helped me file for separation. She also helped me file a restraining order when Robert showed up at the school where I was substitute teaching, demanding I drop the charges against Vanessa. The investigation expanded. Turns out, Vanessa had been running a similar scheme with 3 other elderly clients. All of them had signed over financial control. All of them had watched their money disappear into investment accounts that didn't exist. Robert filed for divorce. He wanted half of my pension. His lawyer argued that as my spouse, he was entitled to marital assets. My lawyer argued that my pension was earned before and during a marriage where I'd received no access to his finances. She also pointed out that financial abuse was grounds for forfeiture of spousal claims. We settled. I kept my pension. He kept the house. I didn't care. I'd never liked that house anyway. Vanessa was charged with elder financial abuse and fraud. She took a plea deal. 2 years probation, restitution to all her victims, and a permanent ban from providing any financial services. Robert tried to call me once, 3 months after the divorce was final. I hope you're happy, he said. You destroyed our family over money. No, I said. You destroyed our family when you decided my retirement was yours to take. I hung up. I used some of my pension to rent a small condo downtown, 2 bedrooms, 1 for me and 1 for an office. I started volunteering at a women's shelter, teaching financial literacy classes. Most of the women who came to my classes had stories like mine, husbands who controlled the money, family members who helped by taking over bank accounts, partners who said things like, "You're not good with money and let me handle it and don't worry about it." I taught them how to spot the red flags, how to protect their accounts, how to recognize financial abuse before it was too late. 6 months after my divorce, my sister Susan came to visit. We sat on my small balcony, drinking wine and watching the sunset. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "If you just let it go, you'd still be married. You'd still have the big house." I thought about it, about Robert and his cold eyes when he'd said I owed him my pension, about Vanessa and her laptop tracking my purchases, about the feeling of walking into my own kitchen and seeing them waiting to ambush me. "I regret," I said slowly, "that I didn't see it sooner, that I let myself believe I wasn't capable of managing my own money, that I was so used to letting Robert handle everything that I didn't question it when he tried to take everything. But do you regret leaving?" I looked at my small condo, at my little balcony with its potted plants, at the Burberry scarf hanging by the door, the one that started it all. "No," I said. "I don't regret leaving. I regret staying as long as I did." Susan raised her glass. To expensive scarves and financial independence. I clinked my glass against hers. To seeing the red flags and actually doing something about them. The thing about financial abuse is that it's insidious. It starts small. Questions about your purchases, concern about your spending habits, offers to help manage your money. And before you know it, you're asking permission to buy tampons or groceries or a scarf with your own money. But here's what I learned. It's never too late to take back control. It's never too late to say no. It's never too late to walk away from someone who thinks they own you because they can control your bank account. I'm 62 years old. I spent 35 years teaching other people's children. I spent 23 years married to a man who saw my retirement as his payday. But I'm not spending one more day letting anyone tell me what I can and cannot do with my own money. The scarf still hangs by my door. Some people might think $1,200 for a scarf is excessive. Maybe it is. But every time I see it, I remember the moment I decided I was worth more than Robert and Vanessa's manipulation. I remember choosing myself. And that's priceless. If you're reading this and something in my story sounds familiar, if you've been told you're not good with money, or you need help managing your finances, or someone just wants to make sure you're being smart with your spending, please listen to me. You are capable, you are competent, and your money is yours. Don't sign the papers, don't give up control. Don't let anyone convince you that protecting your financial independence is selfish or irresponsible or ungrateful. I learned that lesson at 62, but you can learn it today. Trust yourself, protect yourself, and if someone tells you they need to control your money for your own good, run. Because financial freedom isn't just about the numbers in your bank account. It's about the freedom to make your own choices, to live your own life, to buy a damn scarf if you want to, without someone tracking your purchases and staging an intervention. I bought myself another scarf last week. This one was cashmere, $1,500. I didn't ask anyone's permission, and I've never felt richer.